Well, there's great news today. Israel is somewhat opened up, but that's not really the big thing on the agenda. There was a baseball game somewhere in the United States. I don't know anything about that. A new governor in Virginia, possibly even in New Jersey, but that's all small news as compared to this. Drum roll on the other side in Modine. Hanoch Young is buying plane
Hi,
tickets.
boys and girls.
Yeah, I know.
Well, so it appears.
It's been 2 years.
Still trying to work through. Well, still trying to work through the idea that they seem to require payment for that.
No,
what's up with that?
No, they just tell them you just tell them you're a wealthy Jew and you'll pay for it later.
Well, it sounds like something Donald Trump would say, but we'll get to him later in the broadcast. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey, doing good.
Big news from here.
Okay.
A lot of little things. First of all, our clock's already changed.
Oh.
That means where you're sitting right now, I am 1 hour closer to you in Franklin and all my pals in Franklin.
Okay.
Than I had been a week ago.
All right.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
So we're now only 6 hours apart. That will last until your clocks change, which I think is this weekend.
Yes, it is. In fact, it is. It's Saturday night, and and there's always, I've already seen on Facebook, people can't figure out spring forward, fall back. It's not that difficult.
Well, yeah, it's not that difficult but we'll leave it at that. I did see a great meme on Facebook the other day that said, with the clocks going back an hour, gaining an extra hour of 2021 is like getting a bonus track on a Yoko Ono album. So I immediately commented, since our clocks already changed here in Israel, I can tell you for a fact that's exactly what it's felt like.
Okay.
So yeah, this is, we thought 2020 was the year we wanted to forget, but things are getting better. Israel has begun to open up. There will already need to be changes and adaptations over the next few months, which are a good thing. And it's just going to take time. Yeah. It's really going to take time.
Yeah.
What else? Couple really interesting things that have happened in the news that I want to see if I can help pull together for you, because I know a lot of the people that watch this update are looking to hear about things going on in Israel that they may not have picked up in the news reports, either in Ynet or JPost or Israel National News, and certainly not in Breaking Israel News, for sure not.
That's where I go every day.
So let's take that from the top. I think our connection is a little weak again, but that's okay. Let's try to plow through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, Israel announced that they're going to be raising the minimum wage over the next 5 years. So I wasn't even aware that Israel had a minimum wage. And here salaries are paid on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
So it says, now they're really excited about this, that within 5 years, the minimum wage in Israel will be 6,000 shekels per month. That's about $1,800 to $1,900. Poverty level for a family is 8,000 shekels.
Okay.
So again, quoting from the Talmud, the Tractate of Sanhedrin, no es bueno. This is not good. But considering that's 6,000 shekels more than I've made in the last 20 months, hey, that's good news. They are negotiating now there's the preliminary 33 hours of debate that have been scheduled about the upcoming budget. We haven't had a budget for several years, which has created all kinds of problems. If the budget fails, God forbid, our government will go under.
Oh, wow.
And then we'll be back in the cycle. Yeah. So there's a lot riding on this. And I don't think that most people caught that this was going on.
Hmm.
There are 600 scheduled, 600 objections that have to be brought up and entertained. And this is where, Netanyahu is doing everything he can to pull down the government.
Sure.
Which brings me to the next bunch of news. A couple of people have noticed, they've sent me notes saying, hey, what's going on? Y'all seem to be doing a lot of bombing in Syria again. What's up with that? What we're bombing in Syria are Hezbollah arms shipments. In other words, that's Iranian weapons that are going through Hezbollah, and they're trying to get them into Syria. So, but someone said, and this is true, wasn't it a couple of months ago that there were issues with the Russians about that? Because remember, the Russian military is in Syria.
Hmm.
So then we go to some other news reports. Did y'all pick up that Prime Minister Bennett flew to Russia? He was supposed to meet with Putin for 2 hours on a Friday morning. The meetings ran to 5 hours. Prime Minister Bennett had to stay in Russia over Shabbat. Putin gave use of his private villa in Sochi, whatever it's called, some like resort place. And the local Chabad, there's local Chabad there in Russia,
Wow.
like went crazy catering the Shabbat. Okay. One funny anecdote about that is that it appears that on Shabbat afternoon, Putin called Prime Minister Bennett. And Prime Minister Bennett's staff had to explain that our prime minister is shomer mitzvot, he observes the mitzvot, and does not speak on the phone on Shabbat unless it's a national emergency. Turns out Putin just wanted to see how his Shabbat was going, believe it or not. Like, how y'all Shabbating out here in Russia?
Oh, wow.
So Putin was cool with that. They hit it off really well. And that seems to have led to an agreement where the Russians are giving us pretty much a free hand to go and bomb in Syria what we need to.
Huh.
Why is Russia doing this? First of all, one of the big factors in the Likud's electoral campaign was there were these big posters on the sides of buildings throughout Israel that Bibi was the only one that could get along with Putin and get along with at that time they showed Putin and Trump.
Yeah, I remember that.
We would have no relations with the Americans or the Russians if it wasn't for Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Putin and Bennett seem to have hit it off, and Iran has been pushing very hard to establish a strong military presence in Syria to complete the encirclement of Israel with their proxies. Russia doesn't want that. Why doesn't Russia want that? Has nothing to do with being nice to us. It creates continuing destabilization in Syria. Russia wants Syria to be stabilized and to restore diplomatic relations with the world. Why? Now I go back to a story that I read a year and a half ago, and I'm tying it together. When Syria finally gets the okay to rebuild itself, all the national infrastructure has to be rebuilt. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of construction contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Russia wants those.
Ah.
Plus also, it's in, and it's amazing. Believe me, Mrs. Young did not raise that smart a boy. But if you can remember this article and tie it in with this, all of a sudden it makes sense. Of course, the naval port on the Eastern Mediterranean that Russia has with Syria, but Iran is now in the way of Russia. Russia and China, remember, are always playing the long game. They're always doing things. China's got that infrastructure thing across many countries. That's what a superpower does. Now, when your superpower that you're most familiar with is something called the United States of America, even during the Trump administration, they've been retreating from the world stage.
Yeah.
So they're not a factor in this. Iran is trying to portray itself as a superpower. So there's conflict going on. So Prime Minister Bennett was in the UK for this climate meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you notice about it? Well, he got to hang out with Boris Johnson. He got to hang out with the Prime Minister of Australia, but big press, hanging out with Prime Minister Modi. Most of our listeners are probably saying, what's he the Prime Minister of? And I'm a little ashamed of y'all. India. Israel just signed yet another like 10-year mega gazillion billion dollar defense contract. Modi was personal friends with Bibi Netanyahu. Why is he getting along so well with Bennett? Because Netanyahu and now Bennett are prime ministers of the state of Israel. It's the state of Israel that counts, not the cult of personality.
Mm-hmm.
That's really important. Speaking of cult of personality, let's talk about former President Donald Trump.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Okay. Now, I know I'm saying this, and right now, our listeners are getting like, cramps. Well, former President Trump, and I love saying that because y'all got to understand, remember that March 4th deadline, all those deadlines that Trump was going to come riding back into town. I've never seen so many Americans want to see how well that works. You can look at any number of African countries. They have that all the time. And now our internet connection is unstable.
Oh,
well, hang in there with me, Mr. Internet Connection. The former president, who has long suffered from hoof-in-mouth disease,
yes,
made a comment that, two comments, but the first one was the one that caused my head to blow up. He said that up to about 10 years ago, Israel, quote, literally owned the Congress of the United States of America.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any idea how that feeds into all the classical anti-Semitic tropes of Jews controlling the world? That's why, like when people say, with vaccinations, oh, it's like the yellow star and it's Nazi Germany. You gotta think of what you're saying. It's really serious. In Berlin, recently, their government is upset. Why? Because the pictures came out of police officers, German police officers in uniform, doing push-ups at a memorial to the Shoah.
Huh.
It's like when I'm sitting around with people that I know and love, and they think nothing in front of me of saying, well, it's great. We didn't even have to negotiate on the house. We didn't even have to Jew them down.
Yeah, I know. I've heard that one. I've made a couple of enemies along the way on that one.
Let me tell you the other thing that former President Trump said. He still cannot understand why it is he didn't get more support from American Jews, as if that would have gotten him elected. Well, Buckaroo Banzai, let me enlighten you on something. Again, I stated before very clearly, Mrs. Young, my beloved mother, who used to chew nails and spit rust. This was a tough lady. as beautiful as she was, didn't raise that smart a boy. But why is it that I can understand and have explained to our audience many times why the majority of Jewish Americans are not Republicans and do not support Donald Trump, and why Israel is not their hot button issue?
Yeah.
With all of his fancy pants advisors, Jews and non-Jews, you think someone could have explained to him, President Trump, Hanoch speaks about this all the time. This is when he was president. You should listen to him. He'll explain why you don't get the Jewish vote. Duh. Anyway, so yeah, no, yet again, another day with no energy drinks. I have a residual system in my veins. But this is probably why I can't sleep at night.
That's true. That's true.
Invitations have begun coming in for my proposed American trip. I say proposed because the initial link in New York is still being negotiated. So let's not talk about that. Okay, but I am coming. I had originally thought I would fly back to Israel from Miami. I was under the impression El Al flew directly from Miami, but they fly American. Make a long story short, I've got to fly out of Newark going back. I don't know where, but we're going to figure that out. But okay, I know I've gotten an appointed note from our dear friend Mary Connor Stiles, who wants to make sure that Franklin is on the list.
Yeah.
Mary, dear Mary, not a chance I would miss coming to Franklin. Not a chance. Read my lips. Okay, so I've got an invitation in Franklin so far. I've got an invitation in West Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, sure enough. I've got an invitation from House of David in Gloucester, Virginia.
Okay.
Pastor Cletus has extended the invitation to me. I'm not sure he passed it by Barry, but Cletus has invited me. And so yeah. I've got Florida. I've got several stops in the Republic of Texas.
Good.
It looks like Oklahoma, looks like Iowa, which is probably the next best place to go in February than Canada. I'm sure it's not that cold in Iowa.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, I know. So, I'm just going to be a busy little boy, but I've got a great topic to discuss.
Okay.
And the topic is is Israel's future your future?
Wow.
Question mark. Yeah. This is when all the shy, oblique kind of comments, the subtlety that I've exhibited, particularly for the last 8 years, all gets pushed aside. I know you're thinking, Lord, have mercy on us. Praise God. This is going to be, I'm going to be invoking all kinds of things. This is going to be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Let's all take now. Cleansing breath.
Now, what we have to explain is the reason that that Franklin, North Carolina, is absolutely on your schedule and is non-negotiable is because of your love for my wife's fish cookies with icing.
Now, the problem is, first of all, that's absolutely true. And, as we say, in Maladaber, there's nothing to say. The thing that people are missing is they're listening to this all over the world. People will be listening to this recording and saying, what's a fish cookie? And what kind of icing would you possibly put on fish cookie? Now, if it wasn't for your grandchildren, the Catesby and Daniel side of your grandchildren,
yes,
we would not have that name, fish cookies. We would know them as salmon patties.
Yes.
Back in the old country, we called them salmon croquettes.
Yes.
Believe me, from the Bronx, I didn't know a croak from a croquette, but there we have it.
And we have
So
Reuben, we have our grandson Reuben to thank for looking and saying, Nana, I want another fish cookie and I want icing. And so for those that have been in the dark up until now, not understanding the terminology there, that is where it came from.
you know, it's absolutely true. I don't know if we can lure our dear friends Bibi and Renee and Kathy Galloway to come up from, sunny Florida to come and see me. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, there's a possibility on that one, but you may end up well, we're getting rid of our chickens, so we do have an extra place for you to sleep.
Okay, is this where the cliche comes in, where the chickens come home to roost? Is that what this is about?
No, they're going somewhere else to roost. So their house,
Okay.
is kind of like their casa, your casa.
Okay. And listen, as long as we let me try this in English. As long as we stick to Aramaic, like casa, no es bueno, that I can keep up with that.
Okay.
By the way, the cliche that a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. There are conclusions that people reach. This is total shift regarding things either in the Tanakh or within the Christian scriptures. I said scripture this time with an R as opposed to, ending it with two A's.
Yeah.
Where someone was trying to prove to me, the discussion was, what languages did Yeshua speak? Okay. Again, we're talking about Yeshua during his lifetime. We're not talking about any theological post,
right.
Okay. I stated unequivocally Aramaic, which was the daily language. And this is considered controversial, which I can't understand why, Hebrew as the language of prayer. Okay. He agreed with me on Aramaic, disagreed on Hebrew, but stated unequivocally that Yeshua spoke Greek. ¿Por qué? Why? Why would you think that? Now, Josephus, in describing that Second Temple period, said that when he began translating his works into Greek, he had to relocate to Rome because there weren't enough people who could speak Greek properly in the land of Israel. Okay? So I know that. It's a historical fact, and it's Josephus. His point is, in the description that the Gospel of Matthew relates Pilate questioning Yeshua responding, and it doesn't say, and he said to the interpreter. So I said, wait a second. No way does Matthew state we're going to chronicle everything Yeshua did and said that day. He never said he got up, never said he got dressed, seriously, to draw the conclusion, because it doesn't say, and the interpreter said, that Yeshua said to Pilate, well, who do you think I am? So
these are things like, when you were in Sri Lanka, or when I've been in Belgium or various places, you don't insert, well, the interpreter made this error or did this or whatever. It's just kind of there's things that you assume.
But again, thank you for using the word assume.
I know.
because when you break it up,
Yeah, I got
yes.
it. I got it. Yeah. So
So
this is, I mean, this goes under the old adage of, well, the reason that they believe that the Gospels and apostolic writings are written in Greek is because there's more there's more translations. There's more. What was the word? I can't remember the word now. There's more original documents in Greek than Hebrew. Well, if we want to go with that one, there's more original documents in Latin than there are in Greek. So obviously, Yeshua was speaking Latin. You know, here's Rav Shaul and Yochanan the Immerser, and they're speaking Latin and walking around. No, I just won't even go there.
now, again, as I said, a little knowledge is dangerous. It's one thing to keep an open mind and question. In the same way that, I've mentioned this to you before, I had trouble understanding how it is that people misunderstood the name Jesus as some kind of, pagan reference to Greek mythology and Hail Zeus. And but again, the same way, it was at the Revive conference in 2013,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy came over to me and he asked me my name. And I was talking to, a number of people. I remember John Conrad being there. And, I said, my name is Hanoch. He said, well, I believe the original language of scripture is English. That the language of the Tanakh is actually English. And he said, your name isn't actually Hanoch, it's actually Inky.
Yeah.
And I really, I did my George Clooney imitation of kind of squinting a bit, and then he asked me, can I call you Inky? And I said, no, you may not. And that's when I turned it to the group. And again, John was there, I think Ken Rank. And I said, and that is why I don't have a carry permit.
Yeah.
I would have shot him down dead.
Yeah. Well, I have I had a cat named Inky. And I never asked to call him. Nobody ever asked to call him Hanoch.
It's funny. And the only thing I've ever heard with Inky is, remember, Inka dink, a bottle of ink, the cork fell out and you stink, not because you're dirty, not because you're clean, just because you kissed the girl behind the magazine. Yeah.
We never said that in the South.
Mary had a little lamb, his face was white as snow. If she hollers, let her go, eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
No.
We had a different, okay. Well, do you know what? We should do childhood memories another day.
Yeah.
Okay. On an additionally somber note, today, Wednesday, throughout our major cities, our home front command is running a series of tests and drills, and in communities in northern Israel are practicing evacuation.
Mm.
And when the general in charge of the home front command is routinely talking about 2,000 to 2,500 missiles a day, next war in the north, it's serious. Israel has been training routinely for a strike on Iran. You may have heard that we have approved $1.5 billion in our budget that wasn't in there for defense planning, for the acquisition of certain equipment. I recently asked my Mossad therapist, former tank commander in the Gaza region. He's retired now. And I asked him if are we serious about this with Iran? And it's really clever. The guys who know the most say the least.
Yeah, that's true.
He said, well, for sure, for sure it doesn't involve me, meaning himself. He said, this isn't tanks and infantry. I said, but are we working on it? He said, how do you say that in English? Past tense, have been working on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just left it at that. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's not exactly like we could count on the American administration to, you know, I mean, as it is, we seem to be playing, America seems to be playing double dare with Iran. You know, like, I want to take you to the prom, but you're a bad girl. Well, you know, I need to punish you and spank you, but no, I really want to buy you presents. So it's bad.
Well, once again, in Israel, it's not if we go to war, it's when. I mean, it's just
when.
it's a
Yeah,
win.
it's the next war.
Yeah,
it's the
and
next war.
Yeah, and so Israel has to. That's number one priority in Israel at all times is security. I mean,
And
it's
even I just turned my. I don't think you can see it with the open window, but the metal blast door is within less than a foot of closing it. This is since May. I haven't opened it up fully.
wow.
You know, yeah. Anyway,
All right. Well, if anyone would like to be a part of a plane ticket or invitation or anything like that, they can go to kolyehuda.com, click on that little PayPal button right there, and help out. It's called Fly the Jew to America.
you know, I got to tell you, of all the clever names for GoFundMe campaigns, you know, that wasn't one that popped up into my head, but anything is possible. Yeah, if people would like to invite me, now's the time to do it. Please, please, please do not wait until I publish the schedule and then say, hey, how about coming here and there? Yeah. Southwest doesn't connect with everything really well.
No, they don't. They don't. They're great to fly, but they don't connect as well as others. And for those, anyone who is considering having Hanoch come in, I would ask that you go to your congregations now, ask people to begin to put something to the side. You know, it's expensive. It is expensive to travel, and you know, though Hanoch might be, you know, our favorite Jew, they still charge him for everything. Sometimes they charge him.
I gotta tell you, you know, the way, you know, you people put titles, you know, a little plaque, you know, on their desk. You know, that's an idea for me. I never thought of that.
Well, you know, I mean, in the 60s,
everyone's favorite Jew.
Yeah, in the 60s, we had My Favorite Martian. So, I mean, this is like the sequel.
Yeah, that's interesting. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, that was Lost in Space. Whatever.
That was Lost in Space, which might happen somewhere for you somewhere over the Atlantic.
I watched Mighty Mouse. Here I come to save the day. Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or Mr. Trouble never hangs around when he hears this mighty sound. Here I come to save the. Yeah, this is really. And is it any wonder that most of my generation wiped out most of their brain cells with drugs because of that? I mean, you grow up with stuff like that. I, of course, used my time productively. I watched Soul Train and I learned to dance. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hey, maybe when we were in Franklin, Mike, we can go out and take Kathy out dancing. Your look is saying, or maybe we can't. No. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll bring it up to life. Maybe we can have a life assembly event. Or maybe not.
I'm thinking that we may have a shortage of fish cookies about that time, so your invitation may be, maybe rescinded.
Oh, no, 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 no. Okay, I'll compromise. It's the kinder, gentler Hanoch. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
And if you
yeah,
believe that one, I'll tell you another.
yeah. That one doesn't last long. I've seen 2.0. It's kind of like the new normal of society. It's
It's the new abnormal.
it's
It's the new
true.
abnormal. That's what I'm all about.
All right, man. Take care.
All
We will
right.
talk
Take care,
soon.
Mike.
Later.
Shalom. Bye bye.